All right, so I want to talk about a really fascinating conversation that I had with someone in my family. Actually, it's my significant other's cousin, and she's around my age, a bit younger, but super smart, very accomplished in her field, and just really, although we haven't known each other very well or for a long time, just one of the most impressive people that I know. And she, up until recently, had not, up until the trial began, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, she had not really followed it, as I understand. But when the trial began, she really got into it, really started following the trial, and paying really close attention to it. And so I think that she is a very interesting barometer, or an interesting example of someone who can be a kind of barometer for how some people in the public may be feeling, who are coming to this case rather fresh, who've not been following it for years, as a number of us have, and who are not, privy to or aware of every twist and turn that it's taken, but who are, now that the trial has started, who are now really interested in paying attention. And she said some stuff to me that at first I found really pretty alarming. This was a conversation, a family text, and multiple people on this chain, right? This thread. And she basically was making the argument that she does not think that Depp can win, that Johnny Depp can win this defamation case. She doesn't think that he has a good case. She made reference to the fact that it looks bad that Johnny Depp is laughing throughout court. She said that it looked bad that the marriage therapist who testified to mutual abuse in the relationship. I'll unpack that in a moment. All right. The therapist never saw Johnny Depp abuse Amber and has no evidence of it, but it's a complicated thing, and I'll get to it in a minute. But she said, my friend said that she felt like that looked really bad. That the therapist seemed to indicate mutual abuse and not just completely one-sided. And then my friend also felt like it looked really bad that Johnny Depp, she feels, has not really owned up to his substance abuse problem. And that there's a kind of a sort of a shirking responsibility attitude that's being displayed here, a kind of a sense she feels like after watching the trial and watching Johnny Depp under questioning and everything, that she feels like there's something kind of shady about the way that he has dodged, to some degree, she feels responsibility, or dodged the reality of his having a pretty extensive alcohol and drug problem. And then she also said that that she feels like in order for Johnny Depp to win this thing, that he would need, since this is a defamation case, and it's a defamation case focusing on that particular Washington Post article and the effects that it did or did not have on Johnny Depp's career. My friend, as a number of people have pointed out, my friend says that it seems like to her, the jury must believe not only that Amber Heard was talking about Johnny Depp and obviously talking about Johnny Depp in that article, but that Johnny Depp never abused Amber Heard in any way. My friend said that she feels like Johnny Depp is on shaky legal ground because she says that there seems to have been indications in the trial that there was some degree of mutual abuse, even if it was largely one-sided, or if Amber Heard was the instigator. And my friend is concerned that Johnny Depp has not proven otherwise, that there were no instances of abuse on his part. Now, I was reading through this whole conversation, and again, my friend, my significant other's cousin, her opinion is really valuable to me, as I said, because she's super sharp. She's a very independent woman. She's someone I really respect, and she has come to this trial not having years and years of exposure, right? But paying very close attention. So the fact that she was saying these things, I thought, well, these are some interesting arguments, and I've heard some people making these arguments in various forms, but she said it in a very concise way, and so I called her, or she called me, and we had a long conversation about these issues that she raised. So I want to talk to you about what I see in relation to these points that she's brought up. okay? Because I thought, again, it was really interesting. As to the laughing in court, Johnny Depp's laughing in court, I think that, and I hope that this has been made clear to the jury, and I think probably it has. But I think that people need to understand that Johnny Depp is not laughing because he's enjoying this situation or he's enjoying having to bring Amber Heard to court. Johnny Depp has been through the fucking ringer with all of this, and what's going on, the occasional laughter or smiling that you're seeing, I think, is because after being publicly maligned, and basically destroyed by this woman in a premeditated, extensive campaign of defamation and destruction, professional destruction that Amber Heard has waged against him since 2016, when she was parading around outside the courtroom with that fake bruise that she either inflicted on herself or painted on herself with, Melanie Iglesias' help. No, I don't know, Melanie Iglesias did say that she makes fake wounds, though. It's part of her job. Anyway, Johnny Depp's had to go through all of that since 2016, and he's been through the ringer, as a number of us know. And so I think that whatever pleasure he's feeling in this is just the feeling of vindication, a feeling of triumph, a feeling of, even if I don't win this thing, everybody is finally seeing what I've been having to deal with and what I've been saying about this woman and this situation. So that's what I think is going on there. And when I explained that to her, she was like, yeah, that makes sense. I think that I personally think that Johnny's team did a good job when Camille began her cross-examination of Amber Heard, and she referenced that final conversation that Depp and Amber Heard had, or that conversation they had in San Francisco, their secret meeting. I did a video on it. Look at my playlist for the Depp Heard stuff, and you'll see San Francisco secret meeting. It's really interesting. But anyway, Camille, when she was cross-examining Amber Heard, cross-examining Amber Heard, she said that she referenced the fact that Johnny Depp had told Amber that she was never going to see his eyes again. He was never even going to look at her. And I think that Johnny Depp obviously has a lot of feelings of pain about this stuff. And so I do not begrudge him if he, is occasionally gonna laugh or smile or something, because it's an absurd trial. Amber Heard is saying absurd things. He's having to sit there and listen to this woman who's already gone out of her way to destroy him, go even further in some of these ridiculous lies and assertions. So I'd be laughing too. Now, another point that was made, the therapist stuff. Okay, I do feel like the marriage therapist who testified early on, and I've said this in earlier videos, it was unfortunate that line about mutual abuse came out, okay? But understand here, first of all, and I talked about this in an earlier video, that the therapist, it seems to me, after watching the therapist testimony and her cross-examination and everything, it seems to me that the therapist was largely taking Amber Heard's word for things. And it seems to me that Amber Heard was far more engaged in this therapy or in this relationship with this therapist than Johnny Depp was. In fact, that's one of the things that I think the therapist, alludes to at one point, is that Johnny Depp was way more disengaged from it. And so, of course, the therapist is only going to get the impression from whoever is talking to her more and is reporting stuff, right? Johnny Depp is a man of few words, as we've already, look, Amber Heard's side, their expert testified yesterday that Johnny Depp seems to be in like a near catatonic state. His brain functions so slowly, he can barely get a movie line out. Well, I don't actually believe that. But I'm saying they can't argue on the one hand that he can barely talk or think, okay? And then on the other hand, assert some of the things that they're asserting in this. And so I think what was going on in these therapy sessions is that Johnny Depp was a man of few words. He was not talking very much. And I think that Amber Heard, as the therapist noted, was running roughshod over the conversations all the time. Amber Heard, apparently the therapist also noted that, Amber Heard, was it that therapist or Dr. Curry? But anyway, one of the therapists noted that Amber Heard is a kind of a machine gun delivery, rapid fire delivery, and that she basically would monopolize these conversations with Depp and these therapy sessions. So I can tell you what happened is that Amber was feeding all of this BS to the therapist about mutual abuse and Johnny abuses me and all of that. And look, it is very easy to snow a therapist. I've had a number of therapists in my life. My family is very psychologically inclined towards psychological research and exploration, because both my parents have advanced degrees in that field and have even taught college classes in it. Anyway, my point is, though, that what was my point? Oh my gosh. Oh, is that it really seems to me that it's easy to snow a therapist, and and a therapist is only going to perceive the world and a situation through the subjective lens of the person they're talking with, right? That's one of the limitations, unfortunately, of therapy. And so I have no doubt that Amber Heard was telling the therapist all this stuff. But the therapist never observed any abuse on the part of Johnny Depp, has no evidence of that, anything. Now, one of the things that my friend, my guy's cousin also made reference to is the fact that in the therapist's notes at one point, she noted that Johnny Depp had indicated in some way that that there was some degree of mutual abuse, and I think that's one thing that I do not personally remember, and so this is what I will say: if something like that were in there, if something like that came out in court, Johnny Depp admitted that he at one point pushed Amber when she was getting really, really crazy. And this is on the tape. At one point, she's like, "You hurt me" or something, and he's like, "I pushed you." And what we find out is that Amber would attack him and would try to beat up on him, and that that he would fight, or he would try to fight her off, to disengage. All right, it's very clear, and it's very clear in Amber's own words. Listen to the audio. The audio makes everything so clear. You listen to the audio, these conversations between the two of these people, the two of them. I've got a 5-minute audio on my Johnny Depp Amber Heard playlist. If you want to look at it, I've taken the worst parts of the worst excerpts of Amber Heard letting Johnny Depp have it. It's interesting. But here's the thing. You can hear on the recordings Amber Heard saying, "You always run away from every single fight." I'm not even paraphrasing. That's what she says. "You always run away from every single fight." And then she says, "I need you to stay and fight. I want you to stay and fight." And then he says, "You punched me." And she's like, "I didn't punch you. I was hitting you." She admits to hitting him. She says, "I did start a physical fight." Quote, "I did start a physical fight." So we have Amber on recording admitting that she was the aggressor in all of these fights, that Johnny Depp tried to get away from her, ran away every single fight. So it's very clear to me, I'm 100% sure, that if there were any kind of what we would consider physically aggressive acts toward Amber Heard on the part of Johnny Depp, that they were entirely defensive and entirely her fault, because that is what she basically says in her own words in these audio recordings. All right. Now, I am hopeful that is going to be very clear to the jury. Again, it didn't seem like it was perfectly clear to but let me just say this. I was going to say it didn't seem like it was perfectly clear to my friend, but my friend totally supports Johnny Depp. So that's the thing that, I want to be very clear on, is that even though my friend had these critiques of how Johnny Depp is doing and how his side is doing in the trial, she comes away from it saying, I totally think that Amber is awful and support Johnny Depp, right? But I think that what she was trying to express is that she did see these points of concern, have these points of concern. Okay, so I'm going, keep going. She says that so the drug thing, and I do agree with her on this, y'all. I don't think, even up to this point, I don't think that Johnny Depp ever found a really effective way of dealing with the substance. I wanted to say drug because alcohol is a big deal. The substance abuse issue. And, as I've talked about before on my show, I personally and others that I know very well have dealt with addiction issues. I mean, it seems like everybody in life at some point has some kind of addiction issue to something, right? And have a lot of familiarity with substance abuse and people who are trapped in that and all of that, right? Go take a look at my video on Taylor Hawkins' death to see how very sympathetic I am. So I don't think personally that Johnny Depp owes anybody an explanation for anything related to the substance abuse. However, because Amber's team has made an issue of it, he felt like he needed to address it. And I just don't feel like, there was a kind of a seeming at times an attitude of trying to minimize something that clearly seemed to be a problem. I know that Amber Heard greatly exaggerated Johnny Depp's drug use at times and the cocaine, and I know that she was trying to plant, in the Australia audio tape. It comes out that she was basically trying to plant cocaine on him and or in his room or whatever. And then we've seen the staged photos, if you know, with the tampon and everything, her staged cocaine photos that she was trying to attribute that cocaine binge to Johnny Depp. So I totally get that. But I do agree with my friend that at times there seemed to be a sort of an attitude on Johnny Depp's part in the trial and in the UK trial of a kind of a denial about the drug thing. So anyway, but do I think that that's going to take him down, or that that's going to sway the jury ultimately? No, I don't. But that was an interesting point that my friend made, and I understand it. And, you know, and it's a great thing that that Johnny's attorneys yesterday, were able to make that one guy in particular look so ridiculous. The doctor who, on the one hand, seemed to be saying that Johnny Depp was this near catatonic drug abuser whose brain had basically been flatlined by years of substance abuse and who could barely remember anything or get a word out. At the same time, he seemed to be saying that Johnny Depp was this master manipulator who had successfully and relentlessly psychologically antagonized Amber Heard and manipulated her to the point where then she had to reactively commit violence against him. Very sort of mutually exclusive ideas. I talked about this in a Twitter post. Okay, right. So I thought that guy looked ridiculous, and I thought that Johnny's team did a great job of dispensing with him. Right. But anyway, okay. And then what else? What were her other critiques? And then in general, the idea of sort of what is Johnny Depp doing here? It doesn't seem like he can actually prove the merits of his case. Well, I would disagree with that. I think that when the jury, I know that there's a lot of information that we've gotten in this, and I know that right now, because we just came off of Amber presenting her case, I know that there's some feeling that maybe the waters have been sort of muddied with this, and that the jury may perceive that it's just kind of they're both toxic, whatever. But the Johnny Depp's team now, they have hours of time where they can come back and they can redirect this thing. And look, if you don't know who Jennifer Howell is, look her up. But Jennifer Howell is going to be a blockbuster witness for Johnny Depp. I don't care if she's nervous or she doesn't give the best performance ever or whatever, but she has some jaw-dropping information, as a number of us know. And so, if you haven't looked at Jennifer Howell's declaration, from the UK trial or her letter to Whitney or any of that, to go take a look at it. But I'm thinking about doing a video on her anyway, after her testimony. But yeah, she's got some jaw-dropping testimony. Johnny Depp's team has some things up their sleeve, as I think a number of us know. And so they're going to be ending on a really strong note. And the jury then they're going to go back to their room or whatever, and they're going to listen to those audios again. And it's going to remind them who the crazy, abusive, manipulative one in this relationship is. Now, the question being, is the jury going to find that Johnny Depp never committed any kind of act of abuse or assault, domestic violence against Amber Heard? I think they will. I think that the jury is going to get exactly the idea that I've just discussed, which is that Amber Heard instigated all of the violence in the relationship. Johnny Depp likely was not at all physically violent or aggressive with her, but if beyond just the very mild occasional pushing back, defensive moves that he indicated, Johnny Depp himself indicated. And we have no one on record. There is not a single person on record other than Amber's lying, perjuring sister who have said that they saw Johnny Depp ever do anything physical to Amber. And look, I don't have legal expertise, but to me, what Amber discussed in that Washington Post article that she or the ACLU wrote, she talked about being in a trapped long-term in this extensive situation, not only of domestic violence, but of, having this whole web around her of all of these, sycophants that were just doing whatever Johnny Depp wanted them to do, these sort of henchmen and everything, right? Doing his bidding, keeping her trapped, keeping her, suppressing her voice and all of that. And so what's described in that Washington Post article, and remember, it's not just that, but she also defamed him numerous other forums and outlets, but I'm not going to get into that because the lawsuit is about the Washington Post article. The Washington Post article, she talks about it's much, much more than I was in a toxic relationship with a guy who was jealous and occasionally when I would attack him physically, he would push me away, right? That is not what she says in the Washington Post article. What she says in the Washington Post article is I was in this horrible domestic violence long-term situation that went on, and I couldn't get out, and I was being my voice was being suppressed by his team, and he had all of these people working for him that helped perpetuate my abuse, were complicit in it. Okay, all of that is a lie. And so, if that is what is expressed in her Washington Post article, and it basically is, I'm paraphrasing, but it basically is, then to me, that is defamation and that is lies. Okay, so so I think he has a really good case. But what do I know? But I do think he does, and I really hope that he wins. I think the jury is going to think about all that. They're going to listen to that audio, which makes it so clear who the victim was and who the abuser was, and then I think that they're going to side with Depp, regardless of if they truly believe that Washington Post article tanked his career, or regardless of whether or not they believe that Johnny Depp literally never physically touched Amber Heard in an angry way. I think that they're going to side for him because they're going to see the underlying truth of this situation, and they're going to want to punish Amber, and they're going to want to vindicate and help Johnny Depp. And, there's a term, I am not a legal expert, I'm not a lawyer, although I really appreciate some of you writing to me and saying that I need to be made an honorary member of LawTube. My mom is so thrilled about that, I have to say, because, in my family, from an early age, people could tell that I had a good grasp of the language and rhetoric, and that's, a kind of a sharp brain. And so early on, everybody in my family was hoping that I'd be a lawyer, understandably, because being a lawyer used to be like the golden ticket. I mean, now, you can still, if you're good, you can still make a lot of money. But back then, it was just like the golden ticket. And so anyway, but I ended up disappointing everyone and not doing that. Instead, I went through this long process of getting my PhD in English literature and film. Long process, and then finally, then when I got out, I get this low-paying teaching job that I don't have anymore. But it was a great job, and I look forward to doing some teaching in the future, hopefully somewhere. But my whole point is that when I went on Legal Bites, that awesome LawTube show, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. When I went on there and my mom saw me on there, she was so proud. She said, you held your own with those lawyers. She said, you could have made a great lawyer. So I don't know about the first statement, but the latter cracked me up. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with all that, except to say, so I may not have perfect legal expertise or anything like that, but I do know the term jury nullification, and the term refers to the fact that juries can basically disregard laws that they believe are unjust. And I think that in this case, even if they look at this case and they're not completely sold on the idea that the Washington Post article that Amber wrote, or that the ACLU wrote for Amber, didn't totally sink Depp's career, or even if they look at Depp and they see that, okay, he's got some issues or whatever, I think that their overall attitude in this, which is going to be very, very pro-Depp, I think that will compel them, perhaps, hopefully, to go with the larger truth of the situation, and maybe not so much some of these pesky, technicalities, should they exist. And it's interesting because after I had this really, what I thought was this really enjoyable and an interesting, stimulating conversation with my guy's cousin, my friend. At the end, she said, now don't get me wrong, I totally support Johnny Depp, and I think Amber is horrible, and I really hope that she loses this lawsuit and that Johnny Depp wins. And, I said, well, look, right there, just the fact that you said that, I said, that is what Johnny Depp is after. I said, look, I'm not the first to say this, But I just want to tell you that I think that whether or not Johnny Depp wins this trial, I think that that's almost incidental. Yes, it would be great. I know he wants to. I know that we'll all be disappointed if he doesn't. But Johnny Depp, he has achieved his goal. I believe that he set out what he set out to do with this. Okay, I think that he was desperate to find a forum where he could get his side of the story out there, the actual truth out there. And he tried other routes. You know, he did the GQ article. He did the Rolling Stone interview, right? Those 2 interviews. And, you know, one of them was kinder to him than the other, but neither of them did a good job of getting the message out there. And in fact, one of them, I think it was the Rolling Stone piece or the GQ piece, but one of them was just a real hit job. And, I'm sure that his people, his PR people were out there trying to get the word out, trying to get positive stories done on him, trying to get people to look at the truth. There's been a kind of media embargo, a kind of embargo on the part of the mainstream media against Depp's position, against the truth. All right. And that's one of the reasons, let me just close on this idea. That's one of the reasons why you're seeing so much vitriol and so much confusion and so much concern on the part of the mainstream media about the direction that this discourse has taken, because they have lost control of the narrative. The mainstream media, they have lost control of the narrative, and they missed a story. And those are really 2 really bad things. They missed a story. It was right under their noses. It was under their noses for years if they wanted to look. And they refused to cover it. They gave it a little bit of coverage, pro-Amber coverage, here and there. And it got a little bit of coverage in the UK. But really, for the size of this story and what it's turned into, they gave it like no coverage. They missed this huge story. It could be like the trial of the century, one of the trials of the century, right? OJ was the one last year. They missed this huge story. They got scooped by some YouTubers named Umbrella. And that's no insult to the Umbrella guy whom I love, okay, and who does, has done who's done some real journalism, for when it comes to the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing. And I know that to the mainstream media, someone like him looks ridiculous. They look at his page and they see the comic book stuff and whatever, but it's just, he's been on this case and he's been preaching the truth for a while now, and the mainstream media has not. So they missed it and they're pissed. And then they missed it again when it came to the legal stuff. And now they're getting scooped by all the LawTube lawyers, doing these streams. So, again, there was an article that came out in one of the big newspapers and magazines about where one of the things they did was they kind of threw some shade on Legal Bites and the lady on Legal Bites. Okay, so it's clear that they're pissed that they missed this story, and they're also pissed that the narrative has been taken away from them, that they cannot force their bunch of BS down our throats anymore, because because the truth is finally getting out, because there's a trial. And because it's televised, and because it is in everyone's face, finally, to see. And to see what Amber Heard did to Johnny Depp. And continues to do to Johnny Depp, all right? So, that's why Johnny Depp, that's why he's doing what he's doing. That's why he sued her. That's why he has taken this to trial. That's why every day he puts himself through the torture of going to court. Don't be fooled by the laughing, and don't be fooled by the occasional smiles and stuff. Hopefully, this is the conclusion of a very long and painful process for him. And I just hope that he gets the conclusion that we all want him to have. But even if he doesn't, the public knows the truth now. And I believe he has been vindicated. Even if he doesn't win. It's kind of like that, this will seem like a non sequitur to you, to use Amber's term. But there's that story in the Bible. Was it Daniel in the lion's den, or no? I don't know. There was some prophet. Somebody tell me in the comments. There was like a prophet or some prophets of God in the Hebrew Bible in the Old Testament, and they're about to be like thrown into the fire, or was it the lion's den or something? And anyway, one of them says to the king who's about to have them killed, whatever. He says, "Our God is able to deliver us, but if He does not, we will still believe." Now, I've always thought that was a really beautiful verse. And I would just say, just to apply that to the Johnny Depp situation, Johnny Depp, I think he's able to win this, okay? But even if he does not, he's already won it. Finally. All right. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out my channel for lots more coverage on Amber Heard and Johnny Depp and this trial. And I have fabulous guests on my show, lawyers, non-lawyers. I have an interview with Marilyn Manson's former personal assistant and close friend who was actually there at Johnny Depp's penthouse the night of Thanksgiving 2015 when Amber Heard claimed that he assaulted her multiple times. Check out that interview. Check out all my stuff and like, subscribe, and all of that. And hit me up on PayPal, Patreon, and everything else. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.